Real quick, before we start this podcast episode, I just want to say thank you for tuning into the Marc Colcer podcast. I know you've got a million things that you could be doing right now, and the fact that you're taking time out of your day to watch this podcast episode truly means the world to me, and I just want to say thank you for that. If you'd like to continue to support the podcast, right below this video, if you could hit the subscribe button, and then, hey, if you got some more time and you want to hit the download button, the comment button, the like button, the share button, any of those buttons, it's greatly, greatly appreciated. It helps for other people to find out about the podcast, and it helps for you to be notified about future episodes. So if you guys could take a quick second, hit the subscribe button, I would really appreciate that. Outside of that, this episode and every other episode is brought to you guys by Roast Umber Coffee. As some of you guys know, I co-founded Roast Umber Coffee, and we have the greatest farmers in Guatemala and Honduras and the greatest roaster in Grand Rapids, Michigan, all to bring you guys the greatest cup of coffee possible. So if you'd like to try it out, go to our website, use the coupon code MARC30, and you're going to get 30% off your coffee. Now on to the episode. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Welcome to the Marc Colcer Podcast. So, Amanda, to start off here, I got to say, I probably know the least amount about you than any podcast I've ever done, because you and I connected quite literally this morning, and you're in LA for NFT LA. So we figured, hey, you know what? Let's get on a phone call. Let's see if we can make a podcast happen. And so fast forward a few hours, I had another podcast I had to do right before this. And so I said to you, I was like, hey, I've spent like 30 minutes looking into On-Chain Monkey. I had heard of you guys previously to this, but hadn't done a ton of research into it. And so today is going to be a lot of information gathering as I kind of ask you more questions about what On-Chain Monkey is all about. But I just want to say, first off, I appreciate you taking the time and coming here today.
Well, thank you for having us on such short notice and making time in your schedule. And we're big fans of your podcast, so we were honored that we were able to get connected and make it work.
Yeah, no problem at all. So, okay, so for people who don't know who you are, can you give a brief intro to yourself?
Sure. So my name is Amanda Terry. I'm co-founder and chief operating officer of Metagood. Metagood is the company behind NFT collection On-Chain Monkey. The company was formed in 2021. My co-founders are Danny Yang. He founded the Stanford Bitcoin Meetup. He founded MyCoin, which is the largest cryptocurrency exchange in Taiwan. And he founded a company called Colcer, which he sold in 2018. And Bill Tai, who's our chairman. Bill invested in Danny's two previous companies. Bill has been in crypto since 2010. Bill was the first money in Zoom. He was early money in Seed, I should say, in Wish, Canva, Dapper Labs, 23 publicly traded companies now. And I've known Bill since 2013. My background was Web2, kind of business development and sales, Twitter, NBC, 4 startups that have been acquired. Bill brought Danny and me together to really when the origin story was Bill was investing in Dapper Labs in 2018. And he said, Roam, can you create a crypto kitty that's in the shape of a turtle? We're going to name it Hanu Kitty. We're going to auction off at the Necker Blockchain Summit and donate all of the proceeds to Captain Paul Watson to park a boat, a Sea Shepherd boat, on the coast of Antigua to patrol a turtle nesting area from poachers. And so that was the first NFT for ocean conservation. And when we got together, like, how do we do that? But instead of like one crypto kitty that looks like a turtle, how do we do that at scale where we can bring communities together, create wealth, and do real world good?
That's really, really cool. Yeah, I mean, the background of the team is incredible. I was looking into Danny. I was looking into Bill. Next time Bill's investing into something, I got to know about it ahead of time, because it doesn't seem like he has many swing and misses. So.
Well, I also run a fund with Bill, so I'm general partner. I started Bill, and so he's we meet he's a special limited partner, so he's an investor in the fund, and we meet on a weekly basis in the fund. So I should say, if you meet interesting companies through your podcast in the Web3 space that are pre-seed to A, please reach out to me. It's called Actai Ventures, ACTAI Ventures. We'd love to take a look.
There we go. So, okay, so tell me a little bit more about your background. So how did you get into crypto in general? And then we'll get into how you got into NFTs from there. But yeah, start off with your crypto journey.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, I got to give hats off to Bill, my business partner. I've known him since 2013 through his nonprofit, which is called Actai Global. It stands for Athletes, Conservationists, Technologists, Artists, and Innovators. And it's a lot of super interesting people in the tech space that like to kiteboard. Canva came out of there. I think Melanie Perkins came on one of his trips in Australia, and they invested at like the 8 million valuation. As you know, like they're most recently valued at like 40 billion. So a lot of interesting companies have kind of come through that network. And one of them was Dapper Labs that Bill was talking about investing in Roam, and was part of, the team as they were doing kind of the CryptoKitty launch. And from that was, the first time I bought an NFT was actually an NBA Top Shot. And I'm not a total like NBA fan, but I was like, I want to see how this works. I want to see how easy it is to onboard someone into crypto. And I was, really pleasantly surprised. You could just use your credit card and buy an NFT. And it was cool. I was like, wow, I love this idea of like NFTs basically being, digital trading cards, obviously with rarity and different values. And that was my first time into the NFT space.
There we go. See, my experience, I'm a big sports trading card guy. So I have a huge collection upstairs, and that's
Nice.
That's something I'm really big on. But when I first saw NBA Top Shot, I was like, God, I just don't get why these like really random players are selling for a ton of money when like they, to be, for lack of better words, like suck in the NBA. And I was like, but yet somebody's like, hey, I just sold this like Alex Caruso assist for like, $2,000. And I'm like, why is somebody buying that? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. And so I kind of was like, hey, I don't know about this whole NFT thing. And I kind of stayed away from it. And then I tried to get into this Solana project called Solsteads because one of my buddies told me about it. And the day it minted, I knew nothing about minting. I tried to mint it. Next thing you know, I completely miss out on the mint, and it ends up like 80xing from there, right? And so I was like, okay, well, I'm hooked.
We all have those.
Yeah. But the first project I ended up minting because then I was like, okay, well, maybe they just buy everything in the space, right? So the next day there's a project minting called Pixel Dicks, which is exactly what you think it is.
Okay.
And I was like, this is it. Like,
Was this a precursor to Crypto Dick, or
I believe
probably around the same time?
I believe it
like
was
the
a precursor.
Solana version
it
of
might have
that.
been like Solana
Okay.
version, yeah. Okay. And so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna mint this, and so I ended up putting like $2,000 into these or $3,000, whatever it was. And then they went into Discord right after it sold out, and they were like, I'm gonna be honest. Didn't expect this to sell out at all. Don't really know what we're doing from here. And I was like, oh God, like this. And that was my first experience of I sold them immediately. I think I made back like 80% of what I put into it. Thank God.
That's good.
But then I realized from there, okay, maybe I should put a little bit more time.
Maybe a little DYOR.
Yeah. So that's a future reference for everybody. Put a little bit of research into some of these things. But we still have projects to this day that all of a sudden it's just some random ass project that does really well, and you don't know why. So the magical world of NFTs. So how did you guys then put together the whole team? So you and Bill were working together.
Bill and I had known each other through AgTech Global. Mm-hmm. And, we had already started the fund. So, we had raised the fund and had started investing in the fund. Bill introduced me to Danny, and actually what's a really interesting story is we were actually working on a different collection. It was going to be art. It was going to be around bears. And we're going to do the traditional, like set up a Discord group, set up Twitter, like do the pre-marketing, all of this, allow lists, minting, blah, blah. And then Danny he was a PhD in computer science from Stanford, Harvard, like chemistry and physics, undergrad, wicked smart. Yeah. And kind of as a side project, he was like, I wonder if I could code 10,000 profile pic in a single Ethereum transaction. And on, September 11th, 2021, he did it. He launched it. He actually sent a WhatsApp to me and Bill. He's like, hey, I just created these. You might want to mint one. Funny how the whole circle comes around with karma. And, Roam saw Danny's tweet. Roam knows Danny, respects him as another co-founder. Like, he tweeted out, and then they were all minted within 4 hours. Now, they were a free mint, which, was incredible, because then we went on and we did a second mint. It wasn't a mint. It was an airdrop of desserts. So if you had your Genesis monkey, you got airdropped one of 10,000 desserts, the rarest of which 20 of those have been selling at one point for like $200,000. Yeah, so you could have come in, free mint, $20, $30 in Ethereum gas fees, and then gotten like a $200,000, celestial cake dropped to you. And that was kind of the start of it. And I remember the first night, it was just crazy. Like in Discord, we didn't have community managers at the time. It was like Danny, me, it was like all this. I was like, oh my gosh, how do we put this in slow mode? Like there's so much going on. And we were just super fortunate. Like the community kind of stepped up and like started modding, like people who'd been mods, just helped out. And that was like, we've just grown super organically from there. I mean, even our Karma collection, which was our public mint we did in June, it was actually a holder who had a Genesis monkey, and he created a derivative of his Genesis monkey. And people liked it so much on Twitter that we reached out to him and said, hey, like, would you want to come on and maybe join our art team? Turns out he was part of the animation team that was Academy Award nominated for Ice Age and Rio and Ferdinand. And then he went on and he hired, a couple of his colleagues, and they worked 9 months on creating this gorgeous hand-painted collection, which is our Karma collection, which we minted in June. And it's credible. Like that, it was basically all community driven.
That's very, very cool. So I guess, okay, so take me back to when the On-Chain Monkeys first came out, the Genesis collection, right? At that time, what was the rationale there? Because I know you talked about it being all on a single block. Can you explain, I guess, for people who don't understand why that's like such an impressive accomplishment? Can you explain that?
Yeah, I mean, it's very technically difficult to do. It actually means that there's no JPEG. Like the monkeys were literally coded into existence. It means that the image is an SVG file, and the metadata and the image are all on the Ethereum blockchain and in a single Ethereum transaction, which is also very energy efficient. And so it's the first time that it ever been done, 10,000, and hats off to other collections that had been on chain, but this is the first 10,000 profile pick that was done in a single transaction. And it's really set us up, right, for now, right? The 10,000 being on chain. We're also the first 10,000 to inscribe that Genesis collection on Bitcoin. So, and that was done in a single ordinal. So not like an inscription per, image per JPEG, IPFS file. It's literally like all 10,000 monkeys in one ordinal, which was ordinal number 2021-9. So the same date as when the Ethereum collection came out, which is pure magic. Yeah. I still do not know how Danny did it. I mean, it's crazy. He's just so talented, but that was not just by chance. And, he literally picked inscription 2021-9, which was, September 2021 when we launched the Ethereum collection. So, and kind of, from there on out, I mean, we've told all of our on-chain monkeys, if you have an on-chain monkey on Ethereum, you will also get the ordinal version. So that can be if you have the Genesis or the Karma monkey. And we, announced a couple weeks ago that we're going to be doing Dimensions collection, which will be, 3D animated on Bitcoin using the Genesis, i.e. the metadata from your Genesis monkeys. And it's going to be awesome. And that's going to be in Bitcoin. That's coming soon in April. We're really about, and what's so cool about being on chain is, and people I don't think some technical people get it, but a lot of people don't fully appreciate it. But when you're on chain and the metadata is on chain, you can use that to do so many interesting things. Like the Karma monkeys actually have the DNA of the Genesis monkeys. So how it works is if you have a Genesis monkey, it can eat a incredible ice pop, which is a D1, and then it gets a Karma with the traits of the Genesis, but just done in a different way. You could eat a divine donut, so D2, and then you get the K2. Or the celestial cake, which is like a one-of-one kind of art of the Karma. And we're also using that DNA not only for this 3D animated collection Dimensions, we are also using it for, we're going to be working with Alexis Andre, the Friendship Bracelets creator, who's, Art Blocks creator, who's creating a whole generative art collection around the Genesis DNA that will also be on Bitcoin. So it's just, it's very cool. That you can kind of continue to use this DNA and all the different kind of permutations of it. And I love it. Yeah, it's very original. It's very technically innovative, and really no collection has done kind of what we've done from a technical perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not a technical person, but as I was reading into the project beforehand and then hearing this from you, you can just tell how forward thinking that you guys are. Like at some point, a lot of this terminology will be a lot more commonplace and people will understand all of it and everything like that. And so they'll be coming back to this podcast episode and going, holy shit, look what they were talking about doing. And at that time, people they don't always appreciate it in the current moment, but in the future, as this technology becomes more and more commonplace, people will look back at this and see what you guys did and how incredible it is. And so going back to that, I want to make sure I have that right. So if somebody buys essentially one of the Genesis collection on Ethereum, they also then receive it on Bitcoin. Are they sold separately, or can somebody technically sell their one on Bitcoin and hold their one on Ethereum? How does that work?
You will be able to, but right now, because so much of the infrastructure around Bitcoin NFTs is still so nascent, we don't want people to lose their NFT. And so right now we're just kind of holding back, but they have been inscribed already on ordinals. And so when we feel like, the technology is ready and community is ready, then, yes, you will get you'll keep your Genesis, you'll get a Bitcoin version of it, and then you can decide what you want to do with it.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see everything that's coming out with Bitcoin, because the DeGods had a mint last week for Bitcoin DeGods, and some people were like, Mark, are you going to try to get one? And I was like, man, I am so nervous about this. You have to have.
Somebody lost one I saw on Twitter, and I was like, no one wants to be that person, and that's exactly like what Danny, my co-founder, knew could happen, and that's why we've held back. So it's pretty great. But we talk about innovation there. I mean, we talk about the technical innovation. We've done other really cool things too. Like we created a bananas economy. So if you're a holder and you connect your wallet to the onchainmonkey.com website, and you're active in Twitter, but at onchainmonkey, or you come into our Discord, and you type RISE, which are our values. It stands for respect, treat everyone with respect, integrity. We operate with the highest ethical standards, sustainability. We build for the future, and enrichment. We want to enrich our community to do well in the world. If you type !RISE, or you could give a banana to someone in the community and earn a banana. These are off-chain right now, fungible tokens, the banana token, but they will be going on-chain. So kind of think ApeCoin at some point. And, we've had over 1 million bananas mined by our community, and we've created a whole ecosystem. So like a hat is 100 bananas. We've done banana auctions. Like we did one for the Mochaverse, and I think someone paid 3,000 bananas for the Mochaverse, allow list NFT. We've had people go to IRL events. A big, utility is people like to play poker, and they use the bananas as their ante to play. So it's super cool. Another thing we've done is, we put 50% of our public mint revenues into a DAO, which is probably one of the highest of any NFT collection, kind of giving back to the community. So we have 2,000 ETH in a DAO, and that is available for any holder to propose a project, and all of our folders vote on how those funds are being used. And we've done 2 seasons. The current season is building the bananas economy, so it's goods and services that are redeemable for bananas. So we just had a first round of that. I think we had 17 proposals, 2 passed at 5 ETH each. One was actually a business that was started out of On-Chain Monkey called NFT Canvases. So super high quality, token gated. You can get very high quality prints of your NFTs, and they're going to do that instead of for fiat, for bananas. And then the other one, which I love, which was also funded from our first season, is this group called Monkey Misfits. And it's a group of monkeys that encourage each other to work out, and they post on Twitter and Discord, their workouts, and they're creating a line of workout stuff branded Monkey Misfits. And instead of people paying fiat for that, they'll pay with bananas. So those are the 2 that passed, the first round, and then we have 2 more rounds coming. So it's it's super fun.
That's very cool. And I love the community aspect of things. And when you really find a project that has a great community, because we use the term community all the time, and a lot of people say, oh, we have a great community. And then you're like, well, where are they? And you're looking for them and you can't really find them. But with you guys definitely have a great community, and it's evident by things like that. And I love when people come together to support each other and all of that. That's pretty incredible.
Well, the monkeys love, it's funny, we've held some, we've been all hanging out during NFTLA. We had an event on Tuesday night that was actually also a first for us. It was completely community driven and funded through our DAO. So in the past, Metagood as a company would kind of put on these events, and we want to basically empower our holders to do great stuff. So it was actually community led, community funded, and it was awesome. It was so much fun. But we were saying community is kind of an overused word. What does that really mean? But I almost feel like it's family. People have met through On-Chain Monkey who are now best friends who hang out. They went from LA and they were going to one holder's house in Palm Springs. They didn't know each other before On-Chain Monkey. And that's what's so cool. People love to get together IRL and kind of put a face to the PFP and to the person you've probably interacted with in Discord and on Twitter and liked all their stuff and retweeted. So it's really strong IRL. But we've also, we do, obviously a lot of Twitter spaces, Discord chats for our community. One of our communities created a whole sandbox. They did an On-Chain Monkey museum with 4 floors ode to On-Chain Monkey, a jungle you can go kind of run through. His name is Arctic Mosaic, and just really, cool creative stuff, different ways for people to interact in the metaverse and in the real world.
That's very cool. That's very cool. So another thing I want to talk about is the art with on-chain monkeys, because a lot of times when I see NFT projects, the monkeys are a very overused animal, right? Like there are a ton of monkey projects, right? And so a lot of times for me, I look at them and I'm like, man, it's so hard to stick out as a monkey project because there's so many, right? But what you guys have is this super distinct and it's very, you can tell it's exactly an on-chain monkey the moment you see it, right? And it's to me, when I looked at it, it's the color palette, it's the use of the shapes that I love. And so it completely stands out to me. And it's an accomplishment that I think is very difficult to achieve because, once again, we're used to like Bored Ape and things like that where people, and then you see a lot of these other monkey projects, but yours completely stands out. So can you talk a little bit about the art design for on-chain monkeys? And I was looking into the art team that you guys have, the art director and the two artists underneath, and their background was incredible. And so I'd love to know more about the art creation process.
I mean, it's funny because Danny actually wrote a great post about the making of On-Chain Monkey, and another one like WTF is On-Chain Monkey. I could draw this in 2 minutes. The reason why the original Genesis collection is so like relatively simple, like the circles and stuff, is because it's all like compressed into a single Ethereum transaction. And so it had to be simple by that nature. The Karma collection, as I mentioned, was like a 9-month art project by this Hollywood animation team. So that is hand painted, super detailed. Now the metadata is still on chain, but the images are not. So that's, we have a very talented art team that has been with us for, a long time. And they're also the same team that does like a lot of our videos and graphics for our marketing as well. And like, I don't know if you've seen the latest stuff, kind of the stuff around Dimensions, where it's like this almost like golden monkeys army like coming at you. That's like the latest video that came out. It's really cool. Very cool. Like kind of, all about gold and Bitcoin. And like you see this kind of 3D monkey kind of pop out, emerge. So it's cool. They're a super talented group.
Yeah, I mean, I like the simplicity of the art. Like, I kind of figured you guys had to go a more simple route because of the on-chain aspect of it, and because it was in a single block. But even just like, even if you didn't do it that way, the simplicity of it to me is what makes it stand out. Because to me, it kind of looks like fine art. Like you could put that on a wall, and it would be like that's very cool. And I feel like there's a lot of NFT projects where they're super detailed and things like that. But I'm like, I don't know if I want that on my wall. And so it's, something about the simplicity of it that I feel like it allows the person to kind of create their own image in their own head of like what the monkey looks like if it was more detailed, right? And so I think that kind of like ambiguous nature.
And that's kind of what people have done. Like they look at their Genesis and they're like, okay, well, I know if it's a blue square, it's going to be a hoodie on a Karma monkey, because those traits go forward. And it's been really cool actually to see. It's, if you just go to Rarity Tools, it's not really accurate in terms of the rarity, because there's been a bunch of like sub traits that have become popular. So for example, Charlie Lee, the creator of Litecoins, one of our investors, he started buying what we call naked monkeys, which, are just, you can see the nipples on the nips on the monkeys. And so he kind of turned that into something of a rare thing where people wanted these very clean, like, no hat, no clothes monkeys. There's a hoodies club. So like that's the blue square, but in Karma, you see a hoodie. There's, the Bitcoin background club, BBC club. So that's, the orange background that people love right now.
Oh yeah.
There's a cute cat ears club. So there's, a certain Genesis that if you have it, it looks like little cat ears in Karma. So at our party on Tuesday night, it was really awesome. This woman, Mandy, brought all these little like cat ears that like lit up, and so everyone was kind of wearing them at our party just to like hats off the cute cat ears group. So yeah, there's all these kind of very cool sub-trait groups that have formed, and they each have like their own Twitter group too, and they have their own chats just about the cute cat ears or the Bitcoin backup club or So it's pretty cool.
I always love seeing those little sub communities and sub DAOs come together over common traits and things like that. It's always one of my favorite things in the NFT space. But so my next question for you is, obviously a big topic in the last month or so in Ethereum has been the royalties essentially being turned off on OpenSea, right?
Sure.
And so I wanted to hear kind of how does that affect your project, and then just overall your thoughts on that. And had you kind of looked at, I guess, like on Solana, that happened for us back in I want to say it was like October. right? And so there was a huge outrage at that time about it. It was
by the creators.
Yes. Magic Eden had turned it off essentially, and it caused a shitstorm to say the least. And so at the time I kind of thought about it, and I was like, it's probably due to happen in Ethereum if it happened to Solana. It'll probably happen on every blockchain if it's not happening already. And so what were your thoughts on that, and what do you think a solution looks like moving forward on how to solve this problem?
Yeah, I mean, one thing we did, we were actually a 10% creator royalty. And so we just recently, through our DAO, changed that to 5% because we used to actually give 5% to Metagood, the company, 5% the DAO. So effectively back to the community. So, through a snapshot vote, we just changed from like 10 to 5 to be more in line with market practices. So then 5% is not going to DAO anymore. It just comes to Metagood. Still not enforceable, right? Unless on our end, and we discussed as a company, should we try to enforce this in some way, like you can't earn bananas if you don't pay a royalty? But it didn't really make sense because the way it's set up, at least in OpenSea, you would have been penalizing the buyers, not the sellers. And you do want volume. You do want people to buy. So you don't want to like set up friction that way. I think we're super fortunate because we have more upcoming drops. So we have, like we can keep doing additional digital assets and keep bringing in revenue for us. So we're not so concerned about like, really like even 5 or 10% of trading fees is not anything like what you'd make in a mint. And so it's okay for us. But from just a generic creator perspective, one of the things that really drew me to NFTs at the beginning was just that you're empowering creators. And if like you're an artist, and unlike just going to a gallery where you buy a painting on a wall and then you never see, a cent again from that initial sale, what I thought was so powerful about NFTs is that you could have something for the creators, 5, 10, 2, whatever it is, always go back to the initial creator, which I think makes a big difference in a lot of these artists' lives and musicians too, if you look kind of like the music landscape as well. So, I think it is unfortunate that is what it is for the creators and the creator economy, because I think that was really what was different about these digital assets and the ability to program them as digital assets versus traditional art. But, from our perspective at On-Chain Monkey, it's not like impacting our operations. And we already had plans to do a lot of, additional collections as we go forward.
Did you guys expect that to happen, I guess? Did you kind of already have discussions about that before OpenSea made that move?
Well, once we saw what was happening with Blur, then we're like, okay, something's going to happen. I mean, this is not sustainable that like Blur can not enforce it and that OpenSea's not going to change it. But it was a surprise to us for sure.
Yeah.
And, and like right then we were launching, some of the ordinal stuff. So, we lost, a lot of potential revenue. Like when you just look at the volume that we would have had with your creator royalties. I think also creator royalties in some ways can be good because it does, like for a long time, and even now, I think Genesis has only had like 1 or 2% listed at any time. And we have a very diamond hand community, but having some royalty, like higher royalty, also kind of discourages just like wash trading. So that can also be good.
Yeah. No, it's a very interesting time period that we're in NFTs, because when I first got into NFTs, I love the idea of royalties, because to me, I was like, man, it inspires people to keep working, to keep bringing value to that original item. And if you remove that, well, then there's not as much reason for them to continue to put in the work that you would like them to do, right?
And I mean, you're going to probably see that. Like there will probably be projects that rug. They're like, maybe they don't have the resources to do another collection, or they're like, whoa, like how are we gonna, if they're not venture backed, like they might not be able to continue. So it's, not really great for the collectors either in that situation.
Right. I mean, because we kind of have this in the NFT world, this unwritten agreement, right? Of like when you mint a project, you're basically in your mind hoping that the creator of that project is like, hey, I'm going to be putting in a lot of time into seeing this project succeed, and then I'm going to build this out and I'm going to, make this huge, right? That's what you're hoping, right? But at the same time, there is no guarantee of that. You are technically buying a JPEG on the internet that entitles you to basically nothing. You are not technically an investor. You don't,
or an SVG that's on chain.
True. But you don't own anything. You're not this is not a pre-seed round.
You're not a shareholder.
Right.
Yeah, you can't hold them accountable.
Right.
If they rug, they rug. And I mean, that's why, like, for example, get to your question and then I'll just,
Yeah, so to me, it was just like, royalties was something where it creates this mutual agreement where basically they then have that that reason to continue to build out that project and to bring as much value as humanly possible. Because if an NFT, if an on-chain monkey down the road is worth $100,000, well, and you guys are getting royalty on every sale, that's a massive amount of money, right? And so some people look at it and they're like, oh, well, 10% is a lot. And I'm like, but 10% means the team is continually improving their treasury and things like that, which allows them to build out, what
to hire more people and do more things. And do more things for the community too.
Right. So I'm like, it's such a temporary like fix of being like, okay, well, now I don't have to pay royalties on that. And it's like, okay, but if the item that you're then buying doesn't carry as much weight, if it's not worth as much down the road because the team doesn't have as much money to continue doing the things that they want to do, I'm like, who are we helping
Well, it's
here?
like signing up for a gym and you pay 1 month and then you expect a lifetime membership. Right. Like it doesn't, like it's not sustainable. Doesn't really work.
And that's always something with the space that I wish more people understood, is because there are a lot of cash grabs in the space, right? Like, let's be real. But at the same time, the burn rate, these running projects is expensive. When you're hiring devs and you're hiring artists and you're wanting to properly pay people, right? And appreciate them for their work, then you're spending a lot of money. And so with that, and then also obviously you want to pay yourself and be able to afford to, you got to pay your bills, and you have life expenses, right? And so, it's expensive to run a project, and I think people sometimes forget that. And so you see a lot of times of people talking about, oh, well, this is a cash grab, they're just trying to milk more money out of us, and yada yada yada. And it's like, man, at the end of the day, there's a very high burn rate in cash when you're running a project, because you're constantly having to pay for various different things, and there's certain things that you're going to try that you spend a lot of money on that may not work, right? You may build something that you're like, hey, we think the community is going to love this, you put it out, maybe the community doesn't, right? And you have to pivot, and pivoting costs a lot of money too. And so,
Well, one thing is, I don't think, given the background of our founders, right, we never really viewed ourselves as an NFT project. Like, we are a company, we're building for the long term. We went out, we raised a pre-seed round, which we announced in December, a little over $5 million. We have Animoca Brands, we have Marc from Morgan Creek Capital Management, we have the founders of Dapper Labs, YGG, Axie Infinity, Stacey Warden, CEO of Algorand, Owen Wilson, Woody Harrelson, CEO of Etherscan, Holly Branson's, Richard Branson's daughter, who runs Virgin Unite. We have an incredible group of investors around us, and they don't this is early innings for us. Like On-Chain Monkey, Desserts, Karma, Ordinals, we're building a real company. So we've never really, and we've always been doxed from the beginning. We're not in it just to make a quick buck and then hope to continue the project. And if royalties aren't there, then we're just going to throw in the towel. That's never been our vision, right? We truly want to and believe that, Web3 can create significant wealth for our community. We've always been thinking, how do we put our community first? I mean, the free mint, right? Free mint, we have, before we even launched ordinals, we did kind of a rough calculation. I mean, we've returned over 25 million in profits to our community. We're one of the highest in terms of profitable trades. There used to be a website that tracked it, then sadly the page went down, but we were the number one collection in profitable trades. Easier when you're free mint, but right, people have created or gotten a lot of value from On-Chain Monkey, and that's not changing. It's still early. The fact that if you own the Ethereum version, you're getting the first 10,000 ever inscribed on Bitcoin, right? We're giving that to our community. There'll be other benefits to the community on future drops. So I guess my point is just to say, it's unfortunate, but I think just the way that we have all been as founders and the way we operate the company is not a fly-by-night NFT project. It's very much okay, building methodically for the future, for the community, always asking, how do we create, long-term value for our holders?
Yeah, and I respect that. I respect that a lot. So and you mentioned a second ago about your team being fully doxed. Was that ever a discussion? Did you guys ever talk about not doxing? Because especially when you guys minted, that was at a time when everybody was not doxed, right? It seemed like it was pretty rare for somebody to be doxed.
No, and I mean, it's kind of funny sometimes, the people that aren't doxed, it's look at the people on our team, you look at a Bill Ty, that guy has been in venture since 91. He was a partner at, a venture fund. That guy, compared, I think, any probably founder in the NFT space, and Danny, uber successful, right? And so no, that was never a question in our mind that we wouldn't be doxed and put ourselves and our values, which, as we mentioned when we launched, the RISE values of respect, integrity, sustainability, and enrichment, forward to our community.
Yeah. By the way, side note, has anybody ever called Bill Ty the VC guy? Just a player?
Not Bill Ty the VC guy, but Kite VC, because he likes to kiteboard a lot. A lot of our gatherings are around kiteboarding and tech people who like to kiteboard. So yeah, definitely Kite VC, but I haven't heard Bill Ty the VC guy yet.
I only made that reference because when I saw his name earlier, I was like Bill Ty. I was like, this reminds me so much of I'm 30, and so growing up when I was in elementary school, and you were always watching Bill Nye the Science Guy videos.
Right.
And so I was like, hey, Bill Ty, I could see that. But yeah, so you talked about you guys have an ordinals mint coming up.
Yes.
Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah. So it's, as I mentioned, it's going to be it's called Dimensions. And that's because we're bringing a third dimension, like 3D. It's going to be, we've not seen anything like it of its kind yet. Hats off to the other collections that have done ordinals, but this is going to be 3D animated using the DNA of your Genesis monkey. There will also be 300 available for public mint where you don't need to have a Genesis. And that's going to be, an opportunity for the public to come in if you don't have a Genesis. But other things we've announced are, the rarer your Genesis monkey, technically rarer your ordinal of that will be in Dimensions. So we're super excited. April timeframe, ordinals protocol is still early days being developed. So there's a couple things we're waiting for them to announce about, parent-child relationships. And once that stuff is released, then we'll, give a more certain date on the release and, obviously inform our community, give people plenty of time to move things around, make sure they have the right wallets and everything they need.
Do you guys have a mint price in mind?
Not announced yet.
Trying to get that out.
Not announced yet.
How much are you guys paying attention to, what Yuga has done and what D-Gods have done in the last few weeks with their ordinals mints?
Yeah, definitely. I believe, rising tide lifts all boats. So for us, we're like, go Yuga. Yeah, you just set a price for ordinals, which was great. We're happy that it minted out. Yuga, obviously their round was led by Animoca Brands, who is also an investor at us. So we're very close to the Animoca Brands team. And yeah, it was a cool mint. It was a good mint. Frank DeGods also, hats off to him as well. I think ours is going to be quite different in just 3D and animated, but we support. It's such a nascent industry. There's so few people that are even really understanding what's happening with ordinals that I truly believe it's we're all builders in this space. We all want to help each other. That was what's so cool about Tuesday night during NFTLA. Everyone just got together and we're hanging out, and there's one guy literally inscribing ordinals at the bar and teaching people about how it works, and it's super exciting. It feels like we're really at ground zero, and I think all of us really just want to help each other.
How much do you guys pay attention to? So Yuga and D-Gods did it slightly different in terms of how they did pricing, right? Yuga did the auctions, and I think the upside to auction is obviously they make far more money, but the downside to auctions is it kind of hurts secondary a little bit of, at that point you kind of remove some of the liquidity that would have gone into secondary, right? And then D-Gods, they were originally going to go for a 0.44 mint. They ended up lowering it. I think right after they announced that, I want to say Bitcoin ripped 15%, and so they were like, might as well bring our mint price down. So they lowered it to 0.33, sold out all 535 or 500 in 2 minutes. So do you guys look at that? And the secondary sales have been pretty impressive on the D-Gods collection afterwards, most likely because it kind of left more room for secondary sales.
We definitely are going to take into consideration that we want our community to be able to benefit from this. It doesn't really benefit if you set a super high mint price and then there's not a lot of secondaries on that. That doesn't really help the community. So we definitely will keep that in mind. I think on what Yuga Labs did, they could really only pull that off because it was Yuga. We would not recommend most collections tell people to custody Bitcoin at the collection. And if they don't win the bin, then they send it back. That's not probably best practices and could only have been pulled off by Yuga. So we're definitely not going to do that.
Yeah, it's an interesting time we're in with Bitcoin ordinals and everything that we're coming out with that. I saw Magic Eden put out a Bitcoin marketplace the other day, which was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, kudos to them. They moved fast on that, which is great. And actually we know the team. I think Danny was having a call with them today, but we were one of the early Ethereum collections on Magic Eden, so big fans of that team. They've really executed super well.
Yeah, they were and Chartfu over there and Tiffany over there. They're constantly working on this Bitcoin stuff. I know Chartfu has been working on ordinals pretty much since they came out, and he was actually helping run a spreadsheet with Frank on the DGOD secondary collection until the marketplace was ready for Magic Eden. So they were straight up on a Google sheet doing sales.
I know, but that's so ridiculous. That's what I'm saying. Like, we're so early that you're doing it on a Google sheet. Like, that does not scale. So it's, yes, but yeah, we love the Magic Eden team. Hats off. I mean, they've just, they've really executed super well on everything they've done, we feel like.
Yeah, they just put out a video the other day of a behind the scenes of them building out the Bitcoin ordinals marketplace, and it was pretty cool to see. But that's, it's why I love this space. It's so fast paced, and it's like Bitcoin ordinals. If you mentioned that to somebody at the beginning of the year, they would have been like, "What are you talking about?" And fast forward to where we're at now, and it's probably the number one subject people are discussing. So it just shows
100%,
how quickly we move.
Yeah.
But from there, so can you tell me more about Metagood? That was something that you told me a little bit about on the phone before we got here today, and I was reading up a little bit more about that. But can you tell me a little bit more about Metagood?
Yeah, so Metagood is the company behind On-Chain Monkey. So that's we've done a lot of also social impact, which is another kind of differentiator of our collection. 3 weeks into our collection launching the Genesis, we did one Genesis auction, and it went for 12.5 ETH, which of course that was nowhere near the floor price was 3 weeks after launching a free mint. But Roam from Dapper Labs, Charlie Lee bid it up, and then we decided to donate all the proceeds to a UNICEF project called Giga Connect, which is bringing mapping and then bringing internet to schools globally. So we've done some good stuff there. One of our advisors is actually named Luis Hoyos, who's behind the Cove, Racing Extinction, and Game Changers, and he used to be a Nat Geo photographer, and he knew Steve McCurry, who is the photographer behind the iconic Nat Geo cover Afghan Girl. And it's a woman named Sharbakula. Fast forward several decades later, he's actually kept in touch with that, his photo subject. And, she reached out to him. She said, the Taliban are entering Afghanistan. And as a Western icon, I am fearing for my own and my family's lives. And he didn't know where to go. And he's like, I want to donate something to try to get her out. What do we do? And we worked with a nonprofit called Future Brilliance out of the UK. And they'd gotten I think over 300 Afghan women and children out during the last year. And we helped to fund the evacuation of Sharbakula and her family from Afghanistan to Italy. And that was front page news in New York Times, Washington Post at Thanksgiving, not this year, but last year. And then January last year, when everything was happening in Ukraine, we were just like, we need to do something. This is just insane what's happening right now when you look at the news. And our extremely talented art team took our Genesis monkeys and they created a mosaic of 25,000 monkeys, and we created an NFT called OCM Earth, which is an earth with a heart over Ukraine. If you zoom in, it's like literally monkeys. If you zoom out, it just kind of looks kind of like a pixelated earth with a heart on it. We sold to community. We said, hey, this is charity. This is not don't expect a ton of utility. This is if you want to donate to humanitarian causes in Ukraine, get this, and we're going to put it towards that cause. And we raised 185 grand. It was actually our first snapshot vote. So all of our holders, we consulted with Holly Branson from Virgin Unite. We said, look, we're not trying to militarize the Ukrainian people. Can you help us with something? She gave us 3 options, and our community voted for it to go to Save the Children. So helping, kids in Ukraine and families. So, from that, we were honored to be named Fast Company's 20 Best World-Changing Ideas for Impact Investing in 2022. Just a few months ago, we were named INATBA, which is a blockchain association out of Europe. Top 5 most exciting project in blockchain for social innovation. We were honored. I just was at South by a couple weeks ago. We were, one of the 5 companies competing in the Web3 Metaverse competition, the only NFT collection. One of the categories there was is it doing good in the world? What's the social impact? So that's another angle that, I'm personally proud that we've been able to do in the Web3 space. And what's been really interesting is it actually attracted a lot of interesting people and brands who want to do something in the Web3 space. That crypto is not all about FTX or any other negative connotations or crypto, that we're like really are creating wealth for our community and doing real world good. And it's brought some very interesting partnerships in the door for us.
That's really, really awesome. And I'm not just saying that. I love anytime anybody takes, we have so much, this whole NFT world is we're all very blessed to be in this world, and so for me, anytime I see projects that are using the influence that they have to better the world, we need more of that, and we don't see it enough. And so hats off to you guys for doing all of those different things, because that's truly making a gigantic social impact. And I think for a lot of people, when they're outside of the NFT space, they're like, you guys are spending a ton of money on these photos and stuff like that. Like, make it make sense to me, and stories like that make it make sense. Like, those are the things where if your project wasn't around, there are many, thousands of people who would not be in as good of a position as they are today because of the donations that you guys made. So
yeah, and those are donations, but what's really cool is like we're really moving towards this progressive decentralization with the DAO. And so now, like I mentioned, the bananas economy being season 2, but season 1, which was for 3 months, was OCO brand and community building. And there was 2 guys out of Brazil that took like basically unusable skate park in Brazil outside of Rio, and they rehabilitated with on-chain monkeys. So on the walls were like karma monkeys, a top down. It kind of looks like the on-chain monkey logo from a drone shot. And they got 1 ETH in funding from our DAO. And then they threw a Brazilian rap competition there. They turned it into like this lively community space. And, they also got a little bit more funding to, they made on-chain monkey coloring books, brought them to an orphanage on Christmas Day, brought Santa, like turned like made a very magical day for some 76 children in Rio. So it's what's incredible to me is it's not just what we've done as a collection, but now that ethos is spreading out globally throughout the world of this like digital nation of on-chain monkeys that have that ethos, that are aligned with our values, that want to create wealth. And hey, we don't judge. If you need to use it for yourself and your family, like do it. If you want to help your communities, local communities like Brazil, wherever you are in the world, do it. And then you can do things in scale at large. And it's really powerful, Web3, and its ability to kind of bring people together around causes and empower them to do real world good.
I love that. So next, as a project founder, what have been some of the like biggest lessons that you've taken away from the last like year and some change of running On-Chain Monkeys? Things that you didn't expect to have to deal with that you've had to deal with, or obstacles you've had to overcome and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's been a tough market. Like in recent times, it's definitely been different, like in 2021. So one thing I've been, incredibly amazed by is just, the resilience of NFT communities to continue. I mean, we've been very heads down kind of in building mode. And I feel like in these tougher times, it's actually brought our community together stronger. Like people want to help each other. They want to build business with each other. And it's, really like a great time to build. So I'd say just one is just like, I was surprised at instead of the community trying to sell and leave, it's like we've had like 1-2% listed at any time. So it's really like, it's really brought our community closer, I feel like is one thing. The other thing, which I guess I shouldn't have been surprised about, but, we've hired a lot of people from community. So I mentioned the one artist, Drew Winey, who, kind of helped to lead our Karma collection. We've brought like a lot of our best employees, like our community managers, our evangelists, were all holders before they came into On-Chain Monkey. And I think that's a trend that we're going to continue to see. Like we like to bring people in who understand our culture, understand our values, are already passionate about the company. And then they have a unique skill that they can bring, whether it's marketing or, and whatever they're bringing. And so that's been something that's been, after having hired, and had some people leave as well, just like seeing like the best fit for the people in our company are usually holders who are already like passionate and engaged in our community.
I love that. So if somebody's listening to this right now, and let's say they're thinking about building out an NFT project, or maybe they just started an NFT project and they don't have a robust community yet, for you as a project founder and who's built out an awesome community, what do you think is the secret sauce to building out truly an incredible community? Because once again, we hear people say that all the time, but it is much more rare to actually see an incredible community. But your community has already done so many awesome things to better the world, and they've kind of taken the ethos that you guys as project founders have put out there, and they've adopted that and they've implemented that in the way that they're living. And so as a project founder, how do you feel like, what is the secret sauce to building out that sort of community?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a secret sauce. And it's, as you said, everything is always changing, right? So you always have to be super adaptable. But I think, it starts with putting your community first and always thinking, how am I creating value? We always talk about On-Chain Monkey being your passport to the wealthy digital nation. Wealth for us can mean financial wealth, right? A lot of people are in it for that reason. It can be social wealth. So like what we had on Tuesday night, people meeting each other that had just been like PFPs, previously and getting to connect. It can be impact. It can be creative, and however you define wealth, but creating that for your community and as many opportunities for your community to engage in creating wealth, however they decide to define it. That's one. I would say, having some sort of values or mission. People love the Rise values. In fact, we have 3 On-Chain Monkeys that have tattoos. Now 2, like one has this, one has their own PFP. Another one has RISE on their hand. Like it's really resonated with our community. And if you look at our Twitter, Discord, you see like Rise, those people type. There's not, I think, that many NFT communities that have really like said like, these are our values. Like if you want to be part of our community, like you need to be part. And it comes up in Discord. Like if there's someone that puts something, offensive or disrespectful in Discord, or even like the way that they're debating something in the DAO, like someone's like, hey, this is not really aligned with the Rise values, and kind of like the mods can kind of keep people in check. So I think having those types of values, I think as well. Third, just monkey business. You have to have fun too. You just have to like love what you're doing. I think you have to bring fun to the community, and give them lots of opportunities to be able, both on Twitter Spaces and IRL, to connect. We've really, I think, empowered our community. Great things, like there's a holder named Alpha Andy who runs, and NFT Only who run our OCM After Dark, and they've done a great job. Like we have official Twitter Spaces, and then every Thursday night they just kind of bring guests on and hang out with community members. And so I think the other thing that's very important is, finding ways to empower your community to build alongside with you, whether you have a DAO or not. But it's a extremely powerful tool to tell your holders, all right, hey guys, like we're going to give you $3.6 million, and you're going to come up with proposals and vote on how you're going to use those funds. And it's truly empowering for the community.
Yeah, no, that's I love that. I love that. So, okay, so next we talked about before we started the podcast that you've gone to several of the big NFT events as of recently, and obviously we're here today during NFT LA week. What do you think we can do to make NFT events better, and in any way, really? How do we make them more comfortable for people who maybe they don't know a ton of people in the space, and so they want to come out and they want to learn more? So how do we just overall make the events a better place, and make them more sought after, and increase the number of people that we have interested in this whole space?
Yeah. Wow. That's I wish I had I don't know if I have like a thing off the top of my head to make them better. It's nice to go places where I feel like you're in a bit of a bubble. Like if you can, just even physically, location wise, find a nice hotel or a nice place where you could kind of like, everyone in that vicinity is kind of Web3, which I think is hard in big metropolitan areas. They can't really do that. They have to kind of hold it in a big place. I'll say that's one thing, I really enjoyed about VCon last year is I just felt like a lot of stuff was all happening, in the same area, and you got to kind of hang out with people. And there's been other conferences like that as well. But yeah, I think just trying to create a safe space where everyone can kind of hang out together, whether you're all in one hotel or, kind of one area of town, I think is great. Obviously, I think Outer Edge this year had an incredible app for following, all the agenda that was happening and they had great curation, obviously, of speakers. So, hats off to Josh Krieger and that crew, but like obviously having an app that makes it easy for people to follow what's going on. They also had a really cool feature where you could submit your community app or community events. So there was like kind of satellite events. So I think just, good comms about like what events, people are welcome to is always great.
Yeah. No, this has been, it was a great event, and I always love seeing those. And hopefully we can, it's good to see people still coming together even during a bear market, because these times are not easy for a lot of people, and it's been a tough year. We've had, it feels like every other month, a new Black Swan event. But still seeing so many people come together for their love of this community and this space and everything like that. It's really awesome to see. But
I mean, I feel like in downturns is where quality really shines. Like when the market's just bull, it's like, yeah, everything's kind of a bull run, right? But and there was a tweet that came out, like I think about a week ago, where it just like, I don't like to talk about floor price, but we were up like 43%, like the top NFT collection in the last month, right? So when markets turn, like quality does shine, and that was kind of, I think, a testament really to On-Chain Monkey, our community, and the team that works at On-Chain Monkey. But yeah, it's definitely been, I think the other thing too is just in these markets, like, yeah, we get lean, but like builders continue to build. Like we think it's great. We're just like, let's just keep building, right? And the people that come to these conferences that continue to talk, continue to support like the industry. I mean, these are the real people. This is not like the fly by night, like, oh, NFTs are cool. Like these are the real people when you come to these conferences that are truly building and creating value in the space for their companies, for their shareholders, for their, NFT holders.
There we go. So, okay. So my last few questions for you. So what, obviously during a bull market, there's a lot of excitement about everything, right? Like you mentioned, it's like during a bull market, it's like everything rips, right? And so during a bear market, like what keeps you motivated on a regular basis? And then also at the same time, how do you check in with yourself? Because it's this space is tough on, as a project founder, it's tough on your mental, right? Like there's a lot of people who are depending on you to provide for them, right? Because if these JPEGs go, SVG files go up in value, it can really change people's lives.
Yeah.
But if they go down in value, it can also hurt them, right? We say to people, don't spend what you can't afford to lose, but at the same time, there's a lot of people who put literally everything into these things, right? And so as a project founder, what do you do to check in with yourself and make sure that you're, taking care of yourself, your mental health, your physical health during times like this? Because it can be a very, very stressful environment to be in.
I mean, I think it's just like our team. I mean, we have a really strong team. So, we have the Discord for On-Chain Monkey, and then we have a Metagood private, which is just like our company team. And, we actually have a Discord, one of the channels is Karma Jar, where like if someone's doing good, you like give a shout out to the team, or you can, even give bananas internally to the team, our fungible token. So I think it's just, I feel super inspired by what we're doing every day, and I see an impact. Like I come to a conference and people, when I get off the stage, like people are like, oh my gosh, On-Chain Monkey has literally changed my life. Like, thank you so much. And you don't always hear that, like when you're just like on your desk, like working in Discord, but like when people come up to you and say that, you're like, wow, like I've made a difference in this person's life. I certainly know the impact we've made, on kind of a larger scale and for social perspective. And it motivates me. So, I find that it's like a tool for me to, again, create wealth for people and enable them to then do what they want with it and to do real good. I mean, real good. I mean, there's nothing better than like being able to do that. Like, I think so. I feel super motivated. I feel honored, frankly, to be able to come to these conferences, to be able to hang out with the On-Chain Monkeys. It's funny. We had an investor come who's owns a few monkeys, but not like deep in Twitter and Discord. And we're at the Dream Hotel, and one of our holders managed to get all these On-Chain Monkeys up on the wall. So like gigantic like projections, and they're going to be up there for anyone in LA for the next month. And so you can go to the Dream Hotel in Hollywood. And just seeing the community come around this investor and explain, oh, wow, yeah, you have a hoodie, and oh, you should feed it the dessert because that's a good thing to do. And oh, you haven't hooked up your wallet to start earning bananas. I want to give you bananas. Like, it was so cool to see like all of these people in our community kind of surround him and be so enthusiastic and passionate about what we're doing at On-Chain Monkey. And to me, I was like, wow, like I don't have to explain things to him. Like our community is doing it for us. And that to me was just super gratifying to see happen. And I just kind of sat back and I'm like, wow, this is cool. And then he texted me, he's like, that was an amazing event. Like, I met so many cool people. Thank you so much. Can't wait to come to the next one. So yeah, so it's great. But I think, to your question about like mental health, checking in, I don't have any easy answers. I probably do not get enough sleep, I also have a 3-year-old. So, I think, being a parent of a young toddler, you also kind of train yourself to like operate on not a lot of sleep. So I certainly don't have all the answers there, but I think just, for me, when I spend time with her, with my family, when I'm out in nature, I think it's important for everyone. I mean, we talk about touching grass, but to me, that's like very important, to try to get outside if you can, reconnect offline with people that you care about. So, it's easy to feel pressure as a founder that you need to be in Discord 24/7 or checking Twitter. And I certainly fall I definitely can't say that I do not fall victim to that, but I think just, trying to be aware of that and, try to, connect offline and in nature ideally.
Love that. Love that. So, okay. So last question for you. Here's your opportunity to drop some alpha for holders, for prospective holders. What are you most excited about and what should they be excited about in the future of On-Chain Monkeys?
I'm most excited that we're building, the leading company for Bitcoin NFTs. I mean, we were the first to inscribe our Genesis collection, 10,000 monkeys, in a single ordinal, which had never been done before, like the way that we did it. I'm excited for Dimensions, which is coming in April, which, 3D animated collection on Bitcoin, with the DNA of your Genesis monkey. It's going to be awesome. So I can't wait for that to release. Very excited. We're doing this collab with Alexis Andre, the Art Blocks artist, who again is going to create a generative art collection, also going to reside on Bitcoin. So, Bitcoin has twice the market cap of Ethereum. We saw what NFTs did for Ethereum, Polygon, Solana. It really brought a lot of value to those chains. Bitcoin has not been the recipient of that boost from NFTs. And I truly believe if you can develop and build digital assets on the Bitcoin blockchain in an efficient manner, which is not, clogging up the Bitcoin blockchain and, really angering Bitcoin maxis, it should be the most secure and best place to put kind of a store high value digital items. And so I'm extremely inspired by, and honored to get to be part of that and work alongside all of these incredible ordinal builders in developing this next frontier, right? Which I think a lot of the other chains have seen. Obviously, a lot about Solana and Ethereum, but that hasn't happened on Bitcoin yet. And I feel like our team is so uniquely positioned from Danny's background, founding the Stanford Bitcoin meetup in 2013, creating the largest cryptocurrency in Taiwan, Bill's background being in crypto since 2010. We have a very unique team to be able to not only execute technically and with the innovation that you need to build. And Danny's been building on Bitcoin for 10 years, right? That's almost unheard of. And then also to have the relationships with our investors, with Bitcoin maxis that we can bring into the ecosystem to help support us. So that's what I'm most bullish on. And it's a great time to join On-Chain Monkey. It's still very early innings, especially for the Bitcoin stuff. So I encourage everyone to check us out at onchainmonkey.com.
There we go. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be looking into the details of the ordinals mint and looking forward to that. But Amanda, once again, I appreciate you taking the time and coming out here today and chatting. For people who want to reach out to you directly, what is your Twitter? Yeah,
my Twitter is at Amanda, Amanda, Terry, Tery. So that's the best way to reach me is Twitter.
There we go. And the On-Chain Monkeys Twitter account?
At On-Chain Monkey.
There we go. Nice and simple. So, well, once again, I appreciate you taking the time today and chatting, and I'm looking forward to the success of On-Chain Monkeys and to all the good that you guys are doing. I'm looking forward to when we run this podcast back at some point and you talk about all the incredible things that you guys did in 2023. So, looking forward to that. But once again, thank you for taking the time today, and I'm sure we'll be chatting again soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, and excited that we got to share our story.
There we go. Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys soon. See you guys.